Nettie. Just in regards to those pilot programs that did kind of come out for the testing last year and before, we do know that the pass rates have been quite low across the board, particularly among Māori and Pacifica, schools in low socioeconomic areas. Is there anything that the government is doing to help support these students and eliminate these kind of inequities that we have been seeing in the past?
That's exactly why we're making these announcements today, is that we're looking at making certain that we've got the right supports around all of our students in the schooling system. But I was just talking to Vaughan about how schools implemented those results, those tests in very different ways. You were telling me about the way that you implemented
So
them.
at my school last year with the pilots, we were actively engaged, but we weren't engaged at level 1. We used the pilot tests on some year 10 students, particularly students who have come from an ESOL background. And so we were experimenting genuinely and piloting the nature of the test more than the content of it. And also not with any of our high achieving students in year 11, for example, which are the students who would be gaining the qualification. So we were a year ahead of where it needed to be, and also we targeted some students where English maybe not have been their first language or new to the New Zealand education system. So we didn't necessarily open it up to everybody to start with, and a number of my colleagues were in a similar situation, experimenting with the assessment regime on year 10 students a year ahead of when they might need that qualification.
So given those kind of qualifications around there, how confident are you that students who will need to gain these qualifications to graduate from NCEA will be able to do so?
Extremely confident. I've got a pile of staff. There's no one out behind me at the minute, but normally there are, who will work tirelessly to make sure they do the very, very best they can to make sure those students are prepared. So extremely confident. Our concern is not about the content, not about the direction of travel. Our concern was about the pace of that travel and our ability to implement change with fidelity based on the fact that a lot's happened in the last couple of seasons and a lot's happened at the beginning of this year with regard to flood damage and things like that across the sector. And we've got workforce constraints. And if you want to implement a significant change, you want to make sure your workforce is up to speed and has capacity. And so we've got concerns about capacity, not capability, capacity in the current climate where we're still playing catch up from the issues we've faced in the last couple of years. You can't play catch up and then do big advancements in terms of systemic change without something going wrong, and so we're fully supportive of this delay in implementation timeline.
Kieran, just off the back of that, could you speak a bit to how big of a deal this move is?
Yeah, well, these changes to NCEA and to the New Zealand curriculum are significant. So it's, from a teacher's perspective, it's really important we get them right the first time. We're really pleased that in this case the government has listened to teachers. What we need them to do now is to continue to work with us to make sure that these changes are as equitable and coherent as possible for our young people.
There were some concerns from some principals, however, that they didn't want the tests implemented in 2024, that they did want some more time on these to be rolled out. Are there still concerns there that this is still too soon, that 2024 rollout?
So this is what the professional advisory group have advised me on. This is really, this was their key recommendation around that, and I'll just get into absolutely. As you are on the professional advisory group, I think that's a great idea.
So what we were looking for in the next couple of years was more than one pathway to gain literacy. So yes, the pilot tests that have run so far, that digital exam that happens twice a year, that's still in place and can still happen. And so those people that are invested in the change program and they've managed to make significant inroads on their own campus can continue with that piece of work. But having another pathway as well, where you are a little bit more similar to what happens at the moment, where you would have, through the course of your natural learning in English, math, science, social studies, history, whatever, the ability to pick up some literacy and numeracy credits as well. So we've gone from that assessment, that digital online exam test being the only way to get literacy, to being one of two ways to get it while we transition to the new qualification. Because the students that are going to be doing that, the year 10s this year, have had a fairly disrupted last few years in terms of their emergent literacy and numeracy, and you are likely to disadvantage a significant cohort of kids not because they're not capable, but because the environment they've done their learning in hasn't really been up to snuff for all sorts of reasons beyond everyone's control. And you don't want to disadvantage 3 cohorts of kids.
Speaking about those disrupted years, we know that literacy and numeracy doesn't start at high school. It's a much longer journey. What is the government doing to ensure that students who are arriving at high school, who will be setting these standards, are prepared to do so?
So at the moment we are developing the common practice model, and this is one of the reasons why we're putting the emphasis onto the curriculum change, the curriculum refresh program onto literacy and mathematics to align with that common practice model. That will be ready to go by the end of this year. It's currently, the first part of it is out for consultation now, and we will see that real push into the literacy and mathematics area. Can I also say though that what I don't want to see is a narrowing of the curriculum, which often can happen if we put too much emphasis into one area, because a lot of our literacy and mathematics teaching and learning is done through other curriculum focus areas as well. We just need to know that those basic skills are there, that they can, as you rightly point out, that they have those skills when they get through to that college level.
Will there be any support for more professional development, teacher-only days, anything like that to practically help teachers in this?
So what I can tell you today is that we also have the new curriculum leads who will be focusing on the literacy and mathematics area of the curriculum to help support our teachers across the country, but we also are recruiting in for curriculum leads in the NCEA change program area as well to help with our secondary teachers. But we are constantly looking at what other supports are needed. Again, this is a conversation that I have with the professional advisory group, but also with the unions as well, to ensure that we've got the right supports sitting around our teachers.
Are you a bit stuck in that because of this delay, and we've read the reasons for it, but you are going to have students or soon to be ex-students going out into the big wide world without the skills that people are looking for?
That's the whole reason why we are making certain that students do have those skills. So we are working on that right at this point in time. These gentlemen are in schools now, understanding how important it is that our young people have the literacy and mathematics skills that are needed for beyond schooling. It's not about starting this in 2027 when the curriculum's ready to or fully able to be implemented. Our teachers are working on this now. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.